Welcome to the English Matura with JB podcast. In today's episode, we'll explore the fascinating history of the hot dog. Hot dogs, a simple sausage in a bun that somehow became one of America's most controversial foods. Did you know there are actual laws in some cities about what can and can't be called a proper hot dog?
Well, that's fascinating. And kind of intense. What sparked such strong feelings about this particular food?
You know, it all goes back about 100 years, when street vendors in American cities would call out, "Hot, hot," to sell their sausages. That simple cry actually gave us the first part of the name we know today.
So how did we get from just hot to hot dog? There must be more to that story.
Oh, there definitely is, and it's pretty unexpected. See, when German immigrants started importing frankfurters, they were considered this fancy, upscale food. Around that same time, there was this popular slang phrase, "to put on the dog," which meant something fancy or high class.
So you're telling me that the dog part came from it being fancy? That's completely different from what most people probably assume.
Exactly right. People started calling these fancy imported sausages doggy hots, which eventually became hot dogs. But here's what's really interesting. By 1920, Americans were consuming more than 150 million hot dogs annually. That number has grown to over 20 billion hot dogs consumed each year now.
Those numbers are mind-blowing. How did this one food item become such a massive part of American culture?
Well, a lot of it has to do with baseball, actually. The first hot dogs at baseball games were sold by German immigrant Chris von der Ahe, who owned both the St. Louis Browns and the Los Angeles Angels. Louis Brown's baseball team and a bar in the 1880s, he realized people needed something they could eat easily while watching the game.
That's such a brilliant business insight. And now hot dogs and baseball are practically inseparable.
You know what's even more interesting? The term hot dog has evolved way beyond just food. It became this versatile piece of American slang, like calling someone a hot dog when they're showing off, which started in the 1920s sports scene.
Oh, right. Like those showy athletes who make everything look more dramatic than it needs to be.
And here's something that might surprise you. In Chicago, where they take their hot dogs very seriously, the city's official Vienna Beef Hot Dog Academy actually trains vendors in the proper way to make a Chicago-style hot dog. There's a specific order to the 7 toppings, and ketchup is strictly forbidden.
Well, that explains why my friend from Chicago nearly had a meltdown when I asked for ketchup on my hot dog. But why such strict rules?
It's really about preserving cultural identity. Each major city has its own hot dog style. New York with their simple mustard and sauerkraut, Detroit's coney dogs with chili, Seattle's cream cheese and grilled onions. These variations tell the story of each city's immigrant history.
That's such an interesting way to look at it. Like each city's hot dog is a kind of edible historical document.
Exactly, and speaking of history, during the Great Depression, hot dogs were nicknamed Depression sandwiches because vendors would sell them for just a nickel, making them one of the few affordable meals for many Americans.
So they've really been this democratic food from the beginning, crossing social and economic boundaries.
And that tradition continues today. Whether you're in the luxury boxes or the cheap seats at a baseball game, you're eating the same hot dog. Though, and this is pretty wild, the most expensive hot dog ever sold was at a California restaurant for $169. It was made with Wagyu beef and topped with lobster and gold dust.
Now that's definitely putting the dog back in putting on the dog.
Well played. But you know what's really fascinating? Hot dogs have become this perfect lens for viewing American cultural evolution. They started as an immigrant food, became a working-class staple, then a national icon, and now they're even being reimagined as gourmet cuisine.
That's really what makes them special, isn't it? The way they've managed to stay relevant while constantly evolving.
Absolutely right. And as we wrap up, here's something to think about. In a world where food trends come and go, the hot dog has stayed a constant part of American culture for over 150 years. That's pretty remarkable for what started as a simple street food.
And I bet those first street vendors crying, "Hot, hot." Never imagined their simple sausages would become such an important part of American history.
You know what they say? Every hot dog has its day. In this case, it's been having its day for more than a century. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for joining us on this flavorful journey through the history of the hot dog. We hope you enjoyed learning about its fascinating origins, how it traveled across cultures and became a global favorite. Remember, every food has a story. The hot dog's tale is one of creativity, tradition, and delicious innovation. Until next time, stay curious, keep learning, and maybe treat yourself to a tasty hot dog. See you in the next episode. Goodbye.